Okay. Now, the modern version of the werewolf legend is largely the creation of Hollywood screenwriters. The Werewolf of London, Universal 1935, established the idea that lycanthropy was contagious in the matter of rabies. Kurt's Iodomax, the Wolfman, Universal 1941, gave us the idea that silver was poison to werewolves. Both films were based on the concept that transformational lycanthropy was an involuntary curse in the form of an infectious disease which would inevitably transform anyone bitten by another werewolf into a bestial-appearing anthropomorphic monster compelled to stalk and murder human victims during the full moon. Now, the Hollywood werewolf has little to do with the actual werewolf phenomenon that has come down to us from European historical records and folklore. European werewolves were not involuntary victims. They chose their grisly lifestyle, and some of them really were homicidal maniacs and cannibals. Others, falsely accused in the manner of the witchcraft persecution, but none were assumed to be victims of a transmitted curse, nor did they claim this as a defense. Equally important was the concept and the delusion that the transformation into a wolf was complete. The actual medieval European werewolf believed that he was a four-legged wolf, not a two-legged hybrid beast man. However, it is my contention that these medieval aberrations of madness were a lingering cultural shadow from an earlier dark secret our European forebears have suppressed. It should also be noted that belief in human-to-animal transformation is worldwide, found in the folklore and shamanic traditions of nearly all cultures. In line with this, it should be mentioned that the most feared and respected predatory animal in any particular region becomes the were-animal of choice. Hence, we have were-tigers in India, were-jaguars in South America, and were-leopards in Africa. In the later instance, the ancient superstition provided the operative mythos for a widespread cannibalistic murder cult which survived into modern times. The tribal shaman of the hunting culture is the spiritual master of the game animals, the totem animal, and the magical preparations for the hunt. The totem animal of a hunting tribe or clan is often the major predator in the area, and the shaman is the leader of the hunting dance, and a form of ritual hypnosis in which the actions of the animal are mimicked, causing a subjective transformation of the dancers into the totem animal, the wolf, the bear, the leopard, the lion, etc. Central European legends of the wild hunt evoke memories of these magical dance rituals from our own culture's prehistoric roots. Archaeological and ethnographic examples of this shamanic magical process are well known, but what is not so well known is the use of such ferocious totem animals and transformation rituals by cannibal tribes, clans, and secret societies in the hunting of human beings. If we look up werewolf in Egerton Sykes' Dictionary of Non-Classical Mythology, we read, "The werewolf of the Teutons and the Slavs is a faint memory of the ritual dances and sacrifices of wolf totem clans such as the Neri mentioned by Herodotus, and the possibility that manifestations of the frenzy like those of authentic mental disease lycanthropy might have been brought on by cold and exposure also exists. The belief in lycanthropy persisted, and in the mountainous districts of Central and Eastern Europe until at least 1939. Now, following the trail from Sykes back to Herodotus, 500 BC, we read that the Neri were men who may well be magicians, since the Scythians and the Greeks who live in Scythia say that once every year a Nerian becomes a wolf for a few days and then reverts to his original state. Herodotus says, personally, I don't believe this, but they, the Scythians, make the claim and absolutely believe it. They even swear they're telling the truth. Now, Herodotus goes on to recount that the Neri lived in close proximity to a tribe of cannibals. And where does the Venerable Herodotus locate these ancient lupine Darians? Well, right in the midst of the Carpathian Mountains. Based upon the above and the remarkable modern ethnographic analogies of the African human leopard and lion societies, I submit that the real European werewolves were originally a prehistoric pagan Slavic hunting cult, or an intertribal secret society venerating and imitating wolves. And it's quite possible that they practiced human sacrifice and ritual cannibalism. Now, that, I believe, and because this article goes on with more and more evidence to this, but this is something that has not really been dealt with the way it should be in anthropology, and we seem to want to have this idea of the werewolf that can't help himself, and and it just comes on him, and no, actually, it's every possibility and the probability that this was a memory of a very dark and sinister cult that began, I think, probably in Mongolia and came all the way across, into Dark Age Europe. Now, so that's for our Gothic friends. That ought to keep them interested. We also have another chapter of Adamson's Quest. This is the Adventures of the First and Final Fool. We have the Crater-Rapoa, our own German to English translation of the Crater-Rapoa, plus our commentary on that. We have a great article on celestial magic that the Soma Sophia, which we've been working on for a long time. And we have the great secret of Masonry and Rosicrucians, and an article on the big secret behind it, which I think you'll find interesting. And we have about, my engineer's telling me we have about 6 minutes remaining on the show here. So I would like to suggest that next week, what we're going to try to do next week is we're going to discuss a little bit more about what we have coming up in the 7th raid. We're also going to open up a discussion on some of these wild, erroneous ideas about Freemasonry, because Freemasonry, of course, is the grand fraternity upon which the Golden Dawn and all of our good occult organizations are kind of based on it. It's kind of the grand old fraternity, and somehow or other, it seems that Freemasonry is being blamed for all kinds of horrible stuff, which is not the case at all. And I think we know exactly why this has happened. So we're going to start next week. We're going to start talking about Freemasonry and why these conspiracy theories have arisen, and what's really behind them, what Freemasonry really does, and what it really believes, and what it really is, what its mission really is, as compared to what some people think about it. And understand, of course, that Masons, there are certainly Masons who practice magic, but Masonry doesn't teach magic, and Masonry is not a magical organization. We do have some Masons, of course, who are magicians, and but the reason why we're going to do this is because Masonry is kind of close to all our hearts, and I think we need to take on these anti-Masons and explain just why they are wrong about what they think about Masonry. We'll tell you essentially what the real secrets are and what the real purpose of Masonry is, and I think that we look forward to that. And we'll also discuss a famous Masonic hoax that some people still believe, a hoax against Masonry, and that's the Palladium affair. We'll discuss that. So next week we'll take calls, and those of you who want to, sink your teeth into this, you can call up, and we'll have a good session. So tell your friends about the show. And I'm sorry that we had a hiatus last week, but then I was over in Phoenix, doing. We had a reunion, a regional reunion over in Phoenix with my Scottish Rite group, and so we were over there in Phoenix doing good work, and that's why we weren't on last week. Anyway, next week we'll be right here, and we'll be ready to take your calls. So have a good one, and we'll see you next week.